You recently hosted a telephone town hall with your seatmate, Representative Terry Neely. What did people ask you about?
I think a lot of the basic questions about what the heck are we doing with the budget this year? What are we going to do as far as the McCleary funding decision? The mental health beds issue came up, and we asked a question to them because it was just prior to the Super Bowl, who they thought was going to win the Super Bowl, and unfortunately their prediction didn't come out right, but that's that's a discussion for another day. And it was just really great just to hear from people back home, try to clear up some of their confusion about the process here, which is often very confusing. And it's just nice to kind of touch base with folks back home who are interested in interacting with us, and that gave them a great opportunity to do that. So I love those telephone town halls. I think they're wonderful, and I think the response from people was that they really find them very advantageous and enjoyable as well.
The House passed its first two bills a couple of weeks ago. Tell me about them.
Those two bills were Joel's Law, which is basically an involuntary commitment for mental health patients. Joel Reuter was a young man who had a very promising career and a big computer whiz, but he had total destabilization with his mental health and ended up wielding a gun on a balcony of an apartment and was killed by the Seattle Police Department. Worried about protection of other people, and unfortunately he lost his life as a result of that. So we're trying to make it so that families have a little better ability to be able to recognize the needs of their loved one and be able to get them involuntarily committed, or at least get a great assessment of what that mental health issue is. So it's just a way to kind of put another tool in the toolbox to try to help our folks with mental illnesses and be able to have their families chime in. If they see them decompensating, they're able to actually take some action now and appeal to have that commitment made. And the other bill was just supplemental budget. Because of some of the court decisions that have come out, we do have some issues. We have additional caseloads and things within the human services arena that we had to address that we know we will need additional funding for. So basically the supplemental budget is just kind of a stopgap measure to make sure that we are going to handle those things appropriately. So supplemental budget, Joel's Law, and passed a few more bills recently, and so we're working.
There are two bills before the House that would increase the state minimum wage to $12 an hour and require employers to provide paid sick leave to employees. Tell me more about those proposals.
Well, they've been before us before. They're expensive and they're an employer mandate. There's a threshold for amount of employees that you would have where these would be applicable to you. The $12 minimum wage, I have some concerns with that. I might possibly support that bill if I could have sort of some assurance that we would be able to get youth employed in this state. And there's a good little bill out there that would be a training wage bill for the youth in our state. We've got too many youth. Matter of fact, Washington State has a miserable record of employment for young people. And to me, a job is a really good thing for a young person. A good work ethic is established at an earlier age. And to me, if we had something like a training wage bill in conjunction with a little higher minimum wage bill, but I guess my inherent problem with minimum wage is that's what it is. That's supposed to be an entry-level wage. That is not supposed to be a family wage. And unfortunately, because of the recession, we have lots of families that are depending on the minimum wage. So of course they'd like to see that higher. But again, if you give me a little balance and you can give me a training wage for young people who are living with their parents and eating their parents' food and using their parents' car and don't have those essential expenses that a family would have to incur, I might be inclined to support something like that. But again, I think we need to kind of reevaluate what the definition is of a minimum wage job versus a family wage job, and that's where we kind of get into the weeds there. I also live on a border. I'm 4 miles away from Oregon where I live, and the reality is I can see businesses opting to locate in Oregon with a lower minimum wage than businesses in Washington, so that's a concern as well. I'm Representative Maureen Walsh, and I always appreciate hearing from you and welcome your ideas, comments, and feedback. If I can ever be of assistance to you in any way, please let me know by calling, writing, or sending me an email. I also encourage you to sign up for my email updates from my website, which is on your screen. Thanks for taking the time to listen today. It is an honor to be your state representative.